Give me some prosecutors. Give me some fucking data. Stop squinting at me and saying the prosecutors did a thing.
Luke's squinting because Tim's losing his mind. He's coming at this with this indignant, how dare you come in here and say things? Why won't you do dictionary and define every term I give you? Why won't you just tell me I'm right, Luke? This is so triggering.
Tim Pool went viral for absolutely destroying a liberal and just a brutal clip where, you know, the liberal, his name is Luke Beasley, went on Timcast IRL, said a few things that were just factually incorrect. Tim Pool could just tell, and so did the rest of the Timcast crew, could just tell that the guy wasn't well researched, didn't know what he was talking about. So Tim Pool snapped and just went absolutely off on that woke idiot. But what's even more gold than that clip is David Pakman's reaction to Tim Pool destroying the woke left and destroying that woke idiot. In that clip, the title of this video says, "Lone liberal destroys Tim Pool and friends in brutal 5v1 debate." I for the life of me can't understand that's how Destiny and David Pakman and these people took that clip. Like, it was a brutal takedown by Tim Pool. Anyway, let's get into this clip here where Tim Pool goes on Timcast and absolutely destroys his guest, Luke Beasley. But like I said, more importantly, we have David Pakman seething and coping at that clip. Let's get into it.
To this of any of these folks and really holding his own. Let's go to another moment from this discussion where Tim Pool starts to get angry. He doesn't like how Luke is handling this, and Tim starts to get very angry.
Specifically cited his speech. My dude, you don't know what you're talking about. And it's fine. I get it. We try to be polite. We try to be nice. But there are so many young liberals who sit here and say, the corporate press told me that these people are bad, and the machine state government has decreed it by pen. So I don't care what crime they committed. I don't care what the jury said. I don't care who was on the jury. Enrique Tarrio, who was not there, should be in prison for 2 decades. Tell me this now. Why is Enrique Tarrio in prison?
Yeah, so they uncovered with him his plot to overthrow the government.
Enrique Tarrio's?
Yeah, and his organization.
What plot? Who's they? Give me some prosecutors. Give me some fucking data. Stop squinting at me and saying the prosecutors did a thing.
Luke's squinting because Tim's losing his mind. He's coming at this with this indignant, how dare you come in here and say things? Why won't you do dictionary and define every term I give you? Why won't you just tell me I'm right, Luke? This is so triggering to Tim.
No, you didn't read it. You didn't read the court.
Now, Luke's squinting because it's a defense mechanism, and that's just the emote that he has for this situation because he is playing the role, he is playing the part. The same thing that Dean Withers does, the same thing that David Pakman does, Harry Sisson, Destiny. All these people, they play the same exact character. It's kind of crazy. They play the smug leftist, the smug liberal character, and Luke Beasley's good at his character. He's gotten into character, and his emote for this situation, when he feels threatened, when he feels like he's getting cooked, is to do the smug liberal thing and just squint, like, what is wrong with this guy? Type thing. That's what he's doing. It's a defense mechanism, very obviously.
Papers. All you know is the fascist machine state told you he should be in prison, and you're saying yes to them. Tell me why.
No, I understand that laws on the books have been there for a long time, that I agree with, that if it's proven that you had a plan and you wanted to act on it, and then days after.
What's the proof?
The proof is
say the proof
by prosecutors.
Say it.
Communications.
You know, the problem with everything that is being levied here is you could just as easily turn this around on Tim and say, okay, so it sounds like you're essentially saying you don't respect the way that the laws are written. You don't respect the conclusions of a jury within a trial. You're just saying none of it really matters. And so we could turn that around and say, okay, so listen, Kyle Rittenhouse's acquittal, I don't agree with the way that the self-defense law is written. I don't agree with the conclusions of the jury. I think the system was biased in his favor. That's not at all, not even close to what Tim Pool is saying. Tim Pool is not saying that what juries and judges and the court system in the United States rule is not, doesn't hold any weight. That's not at all what he's saying. What Tim Pool is saying is that Luke Beasley and people like Luke Beasley and David Pakman and these people, they spew out this stuff without knowing actual evidence. They don't know the facts of these situations. They called these people guilty
just simply because the machine state calls them guilty. That could be the court of law. And even if it is a court of law, yes, they probably are guilty. I don't think Tim Pool is calling into question that every single court ruling ever is nonsense. But what he's saying is, like, even though the court of law said something, you should probably still research into that thing before you go out and say concretely that they are correct in their ruling. There's been multiple different instances, many different instances, especially when it comes to these political things, where people have been found guilty. And if you actually look into the evidence, you kind of can't really figure out how they've been found guilty. So what Tim Pool is saying is that there's a ton of young liberals, there's a ton of liberals out there like David Pakman, like Luke Beasley, and these types of people who just take what the courts, what the media, what the government says at face value and don't do any research into the actual thing. Tim Pool's not saying that the court system doesn't matter anymore. He's saying that you should just do your own research, especially if you're going to be like the face of a movement, especially if you're going to be a political commentator like these people are, at least know the facts yourself other than the court said this or the mainstream media said this. Go a little bit deeper. Understand what you're talking about. That's all Tim Pool is saying.
Sort of the conspiracy loophole or black hole I've talked about before, where evidence for and evidence against or absence of evidence, it all points to the same conclusion because you've predetermined it. And this is, of course, another one of those examples where, despite the recorded audio tapes of Enrique Tarrio, the Proud Boy leader, despite prosecutors proving their case, despite everything that happened, Tim just doesn't agree with it. And so the thing that if I were to critique Luke here, I would say he should have more quickly recognized it doesn't matter what he says. It almost, in the 2.5 hours, it almost doesn't matter what Luke says, because what this is really about, it seems to me, is that Tim really didn't like that 20-whatever-year-old Luke Beasley came in and faced down 5 of these people, and all they could do was blow up and yell at him. Let's look at a little bit more of this.
What communications? What did he say? What did he do?
If you enjoy content like this, then make sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel. It really does help me out a ton. Let's get back to the video.
Is this serious?
Are you going to tell me why you think Enrique Tarrio should be in prison for 20 years, or are you going to say the government decreed it?
I just explained to you.
So the government said so. Is that it?
It's usually law enforcement, which I guess is part of the government.
Government said so?
Yep. Law enforcement that uncovers evidence of communications, a memo that he
It's sort of like, how does law enforcement work, Tim?
crafted and sent to his organization, saying what? It detailed each institution of government that they were going to try to overthrow. Then just days later, his organization is at the Capitol.
Typing.
I don't think we can even pull up Enrique Tarrio.
I'm not quite.
All right, so then about a minute goes by, and then it's maybe like the absolute funniest moment where Luke is immediately proven right, and it makes Tim Pool's entire blow up seem really stupid.
States that's true. Well, now we got a problem. Let's try this again. Let's try a secondary source. Let's see.
Sorry, let me back up because we actually missed it. Tim looks it up, and it's exactly what Luke said
In the article. So here's a citation.
No, Tim looked it up, and it wasn't exactly what Luke said. All it said was repeated what Luke said, once again, without having any actual evidence. Tim Pool is not saying that there wasn't any communications found within Enrique Tarrio and his team that, you know, exactly what the narrative said. Tim Pool is not disputing that narrative. What Tim Pool is trying to go after Luke Beasley for is not knowing what was said. All that is told to us by mainstream media, by government, by the court system, is that there was communications found within the team. Luke Beasley said that same exact thing. Well, what Tim Pool is saying is what communication was found, what was said, what was in the memo. That's what Luke Beasley doesn't know. That's what David Pakman doesn't know. And that's what Tim Pool's problem is that nobody says what was in the memo. Nobody actually says the communication that was found. And Associated Press here, he looks it up. David Pakman is saying that this is some kind of own. It says exactly what Luke Beasley said, but it still, once again, does not show what was said within the memo, does not show what was said within the communication. That's what Tim Pool's point is.
Proud Boy and 3 other members of the far-right groups were convicted Thursday in a plot to attack the Capitol. A jury in Washington, D.C. found Tarrio and 3 lieutenants guilty of seditious conspiracy after hearing dozens of witnesses. Jurors cleared a 5th defendant, Dominic Pizzola, and a citizen charge, and a significant milestone of the Justice Department, which is now secured a conspiracy, blah, blah, blah.
Uh-oh, it's exactly what Luke said.
They will never stop. Okay, that's interesting. Wikipedia asserts that they did this, but there's actually nothing in the news article that actually states that is true. Well, now we got a problem. Let's try this again. Let's try a secondary source. Let's see. There it is. They introduced evidence that Tarrio discussed with associates a plan to have a large crowd in Washington storm government buildings in a scheme they called 1776 returns, in which the Winter Palace was used as an apparent code for the U.S. Capitol. In a message, he said, make no mistake, we did this, do what must be done, and directed the Proud Boys to do it again. So the question then becomes, in the bigger picture...
So are you going to at all acknowledge that you just blew up over something that I was absolutely citing fairly?
I don't think you cited it fairly.
I think people should be prosecuted for engaging in plans to overthrow a government. That's kind of
that's a very loose definition of plans to overthrow the government.
Now the terms are too loose, and it's all. Listen, this is
there was what was the plan? He said, "Make no mistake, we did this," but where is the plan that was cited? That still does not show a plan at all. That says, make no mistake, we did this. That could be referring to so many different things. Like, this is not playing a semantics game. This is serious. Like, maybe I'm going crazy. I always say, let me know in the comments if I am the crazy one here. Because sometimes it feels like I am. But like, saying, make no mistake, we did this, it could be referring to so many different things. And there's still no plan. There's still no evidence of a plan.
Really a masterclass from Luke put in a very difficult position. I'm not going to play this entire thing, but here's another moment where the topic of the deficit came up, and this is really good.
So
you're not hearing me.
The large spike was COVID. I actually don't know if Trump's debt was in any way more egregious than any of the past presidents. It looks rather linear.
Yeah, I just think if you, again, since this portrays it in a different visual, Axios, Trump, Biden debt, should pull it up. Trump does have, he added more to the debt than any president. But again,
this one says he ran up twice
COVID to be
the
specific.
debt.
I don't know about
Right. That's COVID.
No, exclude. Look, non-COVID.
Oh, I see. You're right. Yeah, non-COVID relief. Trump is more than double Biden. I see Trump's position, and I don't.
Quickly get that off the screen.
Credit for this one is that you want to be under leveraged. His idea is that you want to maintain growth above spending, and then it doesn't matter if you're.
But he failed to do that even before COVID. I think we agree.
I don't know. I mean, the economy was doing fairly well, regardless.
But if you look at the
now he's changing that. This is a classic. Now he changes the topic. Now, Tim, from going from the debt and deficit issue, once that was proven wrong by Luke, Tim just goes, the economy kind of seemed to be doing fine, which is a different argument. That's a modern monetary theory argument, which is even despite deficit spending, if it's on the right stuff, the country and the economy could be doing fine, which I think is an important topic to engage with, but it's one they deny until Luke Beasley shoves it in their face. Really nice job by Luke here. And 2.5 hours, exhausting to deal with these people, but very nicely done. All right, January 1.
I don't understand. Like, he cherry picked some clips that made Luke look not terrible, like the last one, maybe, but I still, I don't feel like breaking every little thing down. But Tim Pool, I don't think, was trying to pivot away from the subject. I think Luke Beasley made a general claim but we can both agree that Donald Trump was doing a bad job before COVID, right? And then Tim Pool said, well, I don't know, the economy was doing pretty well. It seemed like a response to a general question, not something that he was talking about specifically, and then Tim Pool pivoted. But like I said, man, these people are just bad faith anyway. It doesn't matter. Let me know in the comments what you guys think about David Pakman, in my opinion, coping and seething, about Luke Beasley going on Timcast and just getting torn apart by Tim Pool for just not knowing facts. And Tim Pool's entire point was proven, in my opinion. It's crazy how we can look at the same exact clip and get two completely different meanings out of it. If I am the crazy one, I'm very open to accepting that fact. Please let me know in the comments. Let me know in the comments what you guys think about this whole Tim Pool debate, but also what do you think about David Pakman's take on the Tim Pool debate in the comments.